GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered. And that's MVS and Justin Watson with some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues. If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up. Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow, comma, semicolon, period, next sentence, to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man JRich.
Is that yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up. We're Ray
and Jay
in the morning.
My God.
How good is he?
How good
is it? It's GMGP. It is Monday, April 7th, 2025. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with myself and my co-host. Y'all know who it is. My brother from another mother, Jordan Richards. You can find him on X at your boy JRich. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay, and I see the people in the comments already. Happy Monday. I hope y'all have a great one. We got some stuff to talk about. But first and foremost, as always, we have a good time on this show engaging with, in my opinion, Jay, the best damn early morning audience in the world, the Wake Up fam. What's up, Jeanty? How you doing? GMGP to you, my friend. Hope all is well. And yes, let's get this week started the right way. 7 goat rings in the building. Was popping with you? Yes. Smash the thumbs up button. Like the content on the stream. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of stuff coming out over here 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Myself and JRich here to provide some actionable and entertaining sports content for you 3 days a week. So show that love. What's going down with you, Ryan Compton? What's popping with you? Let's effing go. Damn Canadians. We got Greg in the building, Buckeye DK, Kelly Poole, Greg Oswald, Dynasty D, Weeze in the building, Cole World. Ray, I just subscribed. Hold on now. Cole World. What is this? Hold on. Cole World TD said, I just subscribed and liked from my kids' YouTube. Man, that's love. That's love right there, Cole World. Appreciate you, baby. We got some stuff to talk about, Jay. There was a lot of sports action over this past weekend. You know, football, we'll figure out some things to talk about, but there was a lot happening in the sports world. We got $895. We got $500 million. We got 12th national championships. I think there's a Natty on tonight. JRich, let's get you in the building. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, it's funny that of everything that you mentioned, the one that I probably care the absolute least about is the national championship tonight.
Oh,
but
man.
It was a great weekend for sports, man. It was a great weekend for sports.
College basketball fans early this morning. Here we go.
I mean, Ray, as someone who actually watched the game, because I know that you did, there is no way in hell that the game that we had last night between the Red Sox and the Cardinals is going to be more electric tonight in the national championship game. There's just no way. That game last night has me flying high, had me waking up with a smile on my face. The boys are batting well, and I say it, Ray, it's only a couple weeks. I think we're back. I see Jimbo's in the chat. I just want to know, is the East still yours? After the Yankees got swept by Pittsburgh? Is it, Ray? I don't think so. I think the boys are back.
I think we got to get a separate show. We got to get a separate show for you to just wake up and talk all things MLB. Your enthusiasm for this sport that I now love, JRich. You know, I'm one of the biggest MLB fans out there.
I love baseball.
It is palpable. I could feel it oozing from your skin how excited you are about Major League Baseball. But of course, nobody in the chat wants to hear about that shit, JRich. I didn't tune in for baseball. Let me fast forward 15 minutes in the show, man. We're going to talk through all the relevant news topic items. And most importantly, yes, we are going to touch on football. Let me see what the chat is saying right now. Jorge from Rhode Island. The show doesn't start until Jorge gets in the building, and he is here. Weeze is talking about it right now. Ovi, best goal scorer, not best player. Jay, can we start with that? And I'm not going to pander to the audience. I'm not going to act like I know everything about the NHL. But I was a freshman in college when this player was drafted, came into the NHL, and there was a lot of hype around Sidney Crosby and Ovechkin, Alexander Ovechkin, during the 2004, 2005 year. I know you were young at that time, Jay, but there was some pretty cool stuff that happened over the weekend. And talk about Alexander Ovechkin and his historic moment this weekend.
I mean, from a lot of angles, it's just one of the crazier records you'll see broken. I'm not going to go as far to say it's as crazy as LeBron's record, but I think in hockey, outside of Gretzky's points record, which, man, that's probably never going to get broken, like, this is one of those ones that, as well, people never thought would be broken. But Ovechkin, obviously, in his 20 years in the league, finally got there. Ray, I'm sure, I don't know if you've ever seen
Where did
it,
he
but
get
there's
to
actually
for the people
interview.
who don't know? We're talking about 895 goals.
895 goals. Yeah, I mean, he's got 895 goals, which is insane. Most NHL history. But it's crazy because there's actually an interview of Ovi being asked about it. It was done by our local network here in Toronto, and they asked him, like, hey, do you think you're ever going to catch Gretzky? And he's like, no, like, that's impossible. And I don't know how old the interview was. And, like, fast forward all the way to this season where, and I think in that interview he said, well, I have to have, like, 5 straight 40-goal seasons and all that kind of stuff. Like, it just didn't seem attainable for where he was at. He was dealing with a lot of injuries. And what's crazy, Ray, is this year he, like, broke his fibula or something, and he missed 16 games, and people thought he may not break it this year. So, like, just what's gone on for him and, like, how great he's played. He's a player that, like you said, even for me, like, I remember Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin. Like, those are the two that were, like, next up after all of the great hockey players we had. So it's cool to see him break that record because he's always been a phenomenal goal scorer from the moment he got in the league, and still probably has one of the greatest goals I've ever seen scored.
And I did want to ask, because I don't know, on the list of accomplishments, LeBron broke the points record last year or earlier this season. I think it was last year. We've got, rushing champs in NFL. Like, where does this rank? Home run leaders in baseball. I don't know what the greatest individual sports accomplishment is, but how would this one rank in comparison to Barry Bonds, being the home run king, or Emmitt Smith leading, all-time leading rusher in football? How would this compare to those other sports?
It's hard to say, but I mean, it's a record that I believe stood for like 35 years. So just think about it from that perspective, like, it's a long-standing record. I wouldn't know if it's quite as crazy as LeBron's points record, because that one is like, man, it's going to take a long time for someone to break that one because of his longevity, how good he's been. I still think Gretzky's points record's probably the craziest of any sports record, period. Like, the amount of points that he has, for people who don't know, he has more points than any other player in history just off his assists. So, like, that alone tells you how crazy it is. He's second in the NHL in goals all time, and he's number 1 in points just off his assists alone. So, like, that's probably the craziest record in sports, but I'd say it's up there. Like, no one really thought this record would be broken because of how many points and goals that Gretzky scored back in his heyday, because he averaged, like, almost 3 points a game, I believe, which is just crazy. But for Ovechkin to do it is pretty cool, and it makes you think, like, who could be the next guy to maybe break that record?
People are saying it's comparable to JRich's
That's actually a good one.
record. Pretty damn crazy.
I'd say, yeah.
It's up there with those markets.
That's a good one.
Cy Young win total, the only unbreakable record. Crosby, better overall player. We want to give love to some of the greats. So Ovechkin doing that, and he's still playing, right? So there's still more goals to be scored for Alexander.
People want him to get to 1,000 now. He'd have to play probably 2.5 seasons, but people want him to try and get to 1,000, which would be crazy.
All right, Jay, let's talk through another big sporting news topic item that happened over the weekend. An epic collapse from your Duke Blue Devils. My goodness, it looked like Duke was cruising to make it to the national championship, and the University of Houston said, not so fast. I believe Duke scored 11 points in the last, 7 minutes of the game. Cooper Flagg was great and not great at the end. Did you watch the game? Did you care? What are your thoughts on Flagg? And I really just want to talk about him because it was the first time I actually sat down to watch him hoop. He's pretty damn good. I know there's a lot of people out there killing him for his 0 for 5 in game-winning moments this year, not clutch Cooper. But I'm just watching him play. I'm like, he can hoop, man. Like, the kid can hoop. Dimes, he can shoot, he can drive. Did you watch the game? What are your thoughts there?
No, I didn't watch the game, unfortunately. But it was fun. It was funny to watch the collapse on Twitter, though. Everyone talking about it. Obviously, our group chat was talking about it because Scott was watching the game. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, the 0 for 5. I mean, they said those kind of things about LeBron too back in the day. Let's not forget. But everyone says Cooper Flagg is legit. So I would imagine that he is. Seems pretty good. Yeah, he's the complete package. But the biggest thing is he can defend, right? That's what I've always heard about Flagg. He's like, as good as he is offensively, he's also very talented defensively as well.
He's legit. He's legit.
Yeah.
Are you interested in the Natty tonight? Houston and Florida. Can you name 3 players from both of the teams?
Absolutely not. Honestly, Ray, I'm dead ass. Like, I can't. No, I could not name a single player in either.
Walter Clayton Jr. That's the only one I can name.
He plays for Florida, right?
Plays for Florida. Yeah, that's the only one I can name because I prop bet on him. So there you go. Yeah, Houston, Florida.
No clue.
National championship tonight. I'll go for Houston because they live in Texas. So I mean, it's
that, bro.
Well, Houston doesn't live in Texas, but Houston is located in Texas. You going with Florida? Okay.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Gators, baby.
Let's talk about what UConn did this weekend. Paige Bueckers and the UConn Huskies won their 12th national championship. Beat the living brakes off of Don Staley in South Carolina. It was not a game. I mean, the women were hot, guns blazing. 12th national championship. Paige Bueckers off to the WNBA. Did you watch any of this? How good is Paige? What are your thoughts on UConn winning their 12th natty, Jay?
I did not watch this game either, but I will say, though, I was very happy that Paige won. Like, really happy for her. She's dealt with a lot of injuries. She came back to win a national championship this season, play with AZ Fudd for another year.
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy for Paige. Is this her second natty or is this her first? Because I know that there's a couple that got derailed from her injuries and they couldn't go as far as they wanted to go.
2 years ago,
I believe this is her
first.
This is her first. Because 2 years ago, the team was really good and she got hurt. So I was really happy for her because she's one of those players that is going to go number 1 overall and is very, very good. I actually have watched her play. But what are your thoughts on Paige and how good do you think she can be in the W?
I think she's going to be really good, man. She's a hooper. She's been hooping, and it was crazy because they interviewed her and they asked, what was crazy about this that I heard is, God rest her soul, Gigi Bryant would have been on this team. Had she...
word.
Kobe Bryant's daughter that passed away in the helicopter accident with him some years ago would have been on this team. And they asked Bueckers about that and her thoughts about Gigi having been a part of that. And she talked about just how the universe aligns and things. Anyway, her mom or her parents, they were staying at the hotel room number that they were staying in for the tournament was 824.
Oh, damn. That's cool.
It's kind of cool, right? Kind of crazy that all of that stuff played out. So my thoughts on the women's game is exciting. I know way more female college basketball players than I do male basketball players, but good for Gina Auriemma, good for Paige Bueckers. UConn wins their 12th, and she's going to be good in the WNBA. Really cool little story there. But Jay, let's get to some bag talk real quick because this is why my boys play baseball. In the off chance that either of them get a shot to play professionally or get a ride to go to college. When I see shit like this, I'm just like, pick up a stick and hit the damn ball. Just get if you've got
it's not
kids,
easy, right?
Give them a stick and a ball and just make sure they're proficient. Vlad Guerrero Jr., 14-year, $500 million. Jordan Riches. Wow. Half a bill? Half a bill,
baby. Teddy Rogers finally paid the piper. About damn time. Ray, what's crazy? What's crazy about this? This is the first. I think this is the second player that this front office has re-signed in 9 seasons. Think about that. It's been 9 seasons, and they've only re-signed one other player, and Vlad is one of their first. But it's 3 times higher than any contract any Blues ever had. Second was George Springer when he got paid $150.
Unreal.
But yeah, man, Vlad getting $500 is kind of crazy, but I actually think he's worth it. It'll be interesting to see how the fans react because I'm sure there's a lot of fans that say, well, is Vladdy really worth 500 M's?
Unreal.
But he's absolutely worth it. He's so good. I love Vlad. I'm happy the Jays kept him. I wanted him to go to Boston, but we got
to show love to your Toronto. You're a Canadian here, so we've got to show love. Right. Show love to Vlad. $500 million. What position does he play on defense, Jay?
He plays first base.
First base, huh? So he doesn't. He just. You know what position my son plays right now in baseball? First base.
He plays
first
first?
The little one. The little one is the first baseman.
You got to get him off first, bro.
He's the only one that can catch.
Unless he's going to be like 6'2", he ain't playing first base.
At 6'U", all they care about is who can catch the ball. He's the only one that can catch the damn ball.
That's funny.
The first, so he's the first baseman, man. All right. Everyone's clamoring for football talk, but listen, it's early in the show. We give y'all 3 days a week. There's not a lot of football shit going on. There's not a lot. This is all important sports news. But since you want that football, JRich, how much are you buying into Sean McVay and his comments on another pass catcher inside of that offense? Sean McVay predicts increased usage for, checks notes, Tutu Atwell this season. He said, I did not do a good enough job getting Tutu Atwell involved in the offense, getting Tutu Atwell the ball. So, Jay, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask the people, how much are you buying into Tutu Atwell being a part of this Rams offense in 2025?
Well, they paid him to probably be on the field, but involvement in the offense, that really depends on your expectations.
The coach is saying, I did not do a good enough job of utilizing him. Remember, they signed him early, too. If you go back, he was signed early.
That was before free agency, I think.
Let's get Tutu back. They've moved on. They sent Cooper Kupp on his way. He is off packing to Seattle. They did one final workout. Kind of weird, that video. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, but they did one final workout with Cooper Kupp. He is gone. Are you buying into Tutu Atwell?
I think he could get 60 targets. Outside of that, though, again, buying is relative to cost. I don't think the cost is that high. If you want to take a shot in best ball, sure. But
Joe in the chat loves that Tutu, man. Where's Joe at? Is she in the chat this morning?
Don't you feel like we've been here before, though, with Tutu? Like, hasn't there been previous times where we thought, oh, maybe Tutu's going to be more involved? Then it just kind of
There's
has
Joe.
A couple weeks.
There's Joe. I knew my girl would cut. She said, I'm going to draft Tutu with the 6'6" spot. I knew she'd be in the building for that. Well, I mean,
oh my God.
Listen, it's a good offense, right? When Sean McVay said Puka Nacua was going to be the guy, everyone laughed at that. Everyone scoffed at it. Not a chance. 5th round.
But Puka Nacua is the guy,
BYU.
and Davante Adams is also a guy. And
Davante Adams is a guy.
I don't think there's room for another guy, but we'll see.
We'll see. There are also some rumblings or some news from the NFL draft. Now, the NFL said they are trying to limit the number of invitations that come to the draft live. Shedeur Sanders not going to be at the draft live, but there will be a black quarterback there. I don't know if it's going to be Cam Ward, but there will be a black one live. one that a lot of people probably didn't predict would get the invitation. But are you reading between the lines that Jalen Milroe quickly and swiftly accepted his invitation to attend the 2025 NFL Draft live? Jalen Milroe, quarterback from Alabama, will be in attendance. Does this give you confidence, belief, hope that he's going to be picked in the first round?
Picked in the first round? I wouldn't go that far, but he's definitely letting those naysayers know by attending the draft. Ray, I think the thing for me with Milroe is if I was Jalen Milroe and I was projected to go like 2nd, 3rd round, and the NFL said, hey, Jalen, you want to come to the draft? I'd be like, you flying me out? You paying for my lodging? You paying for my food? Sure, I'll make the trip. Why not? But as far as realistic expectations for Milroe in the first, I probably wouldn't go that far. Do you feel any differently?
I do not believe he should be a first-round pick. No. I do not believe he should be a first-round pick. I do not believe he's going to be selected in the first round. But at this point in the draft process, I don't know what you can believe or can't believe from people. Everyone's flip-flopping every other day. This team is locked into taking a quarterback. The very next day, no chance this team is going to take a quarterback. It's a good opportunity, right? You get invited to the draft one time. It is probably not a good feeling. He's an Alabama
quarterback. If Cam Ward doesn't go and Dart doesn't go and Shedeur doesn't go, like, you got to have a quarterback there. I feel like he's just the next guy up.
Nobody wants to see the
Will
QB.
Campbell
Nobody wants to see the QB sitting in the green room all night. You know, we saw that a couple of years ago with Will Levis. He was invited, was not happy. I mean, he lost his girlfriend over not being picked in round 1, man. Things went south for him quickly. Aaron Rodgers had to wait a little bit. Lamar Jackson had to wait a little bit. I do not believe Jalen Milroe will be a top 32 pick, but good for him getting the opportunity to go and participate in the NFL.
Cool experience if he doesn't mind slipping.
In the NFL combine, NFL draft experiences, because you only get that one time, right? You only get that one. And I have not heard anything about, I haven't heard anything about Ward being there or not. I'm just assuming he ain't done shit else. Why would he show up for this? But he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick. So go get your moment, Cam Ward. All the hype and the hoopla is over. Just go get your moment, have your moment, and be present at the draft. I haven't heard anything about Jackson Dart or being.
It's also in Green Bay, Ray. So it ain't like it's in LA.
You thinking people don't want to go to that Green Bay, Wisconsin?
Yeah. Do you want to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin?
I've never been to Wisconsin. I do not want to. I don't want to poo-poo on that great state. I don't know anything about Wisconsin, but no, it's not like a bucket list place that I want to go to. What about you?
Yeah, I no interest in. I mean, I go see a Packers game, but again, if you're a projected first overall pick, do you want to go party in Miami when you go first overall, or do you want to go to Green Bay and do interviews?
The draft isn't in Miami.
Television and stuff.
There's that.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
If it was, maybe Cam Moore to be there.
Can we talk a little Twitter discourse real quick before we get into some pro day talk?
Absolutely.
Can we talk a little discourse? There's been some feelings around this player, I don't know why it's this guy of all the running backs in this class, JRich.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there.
There is incredible amounts of discourse around this player, and I'm just going to put his picture on the screen. Give me your thoughts on North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton. There are a lot of draft experts right now, Jay, who believe the Dallas Cowboys will select him pick 12. There are a lot of experts and draft analysts that think he and Ashton Jeanty are not that far apart as far as talent. You, JRich, have been on record of saying, while Jeanty is great, while Jeanty is absolutely put up, I mean, you can't debate 2,500 plus rushing yards. That is not debatable. You rush for 2,500 yards, you rush for 2,500 yards. But you've been on record in saying that I'm not quite buying into those Mountain West yards like everybody else. But there's this other subset of people who don't think Omarion Hampton is even in the same range as Ashton Jeanty. So your thoughts going into the draft, and we're gonna get Debro on for this. He is the perfect person to get on the show. We're going to do a comp show where we just go through 20 players and just our
You're trying to get me lit up.
Low-end comps for these players. I'm not asking you for your Omarion Hampton comparison. But what are your thoughts on this running back? And you've got the Kuipers, you've got the Jeremiah saying, yeah, he's a top 15 pick and not that far off from Ashton Jeanty. And the other side of that coin is he's not even in the same stratosphere as Ashton Jeanty. Where are you on North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton?
I think that Hampton is a talented running back. I also firmly believe that Jeanty is far and superior better than Hampton.
Really?
Now, in the NFL, of course, all things...
Really?
Yes, I do. Now, of course, in the NFL, all things can be different.
I'm not even
okay.
Because you're the one who calls Ashton Jeanty the Mountain West Brian Robinson. So you believe
I've said that multiple
the Mountain West B-Rob is significantly better than Omarion Hampton, who has posted back-to-back 1,500-yard seasons in the ACC. You believe that, that the Mountain West Brian Robinson is infinitely better than Omarion Hampton?
Yeah, I do. I think he's a lot better because I think in a lot of ways, the things that Hampton does well, Jeanty just does better, right? And I'd even argue that Jeanty's a better pass catcher than Hampton is as well. So if you're just asking me who I think the better running back is, I think it's pretty easily Ashton Jeanty. I mean, you go look at a lot of people who say that Jeanty's clear number one back. He's like minus 5,000 to be the first running back off the board. Now in the NFL, depending on where both of them go, maybe Hampton is the better player in terms of the numbers he puts up and the system and whatever. But if I was betting on a running back today, it would be Jeanty. I think the funny thing is that you have these people that come and say, oh, well, Omarion Hampton's going to make this Jahmyr Gibbs type of rise up the draft. It's like, do you guys even remember what happened when Jahmyr Gibbs got launched into the first round on the Tuesday before the draft, and by Thursday he was a top 20 pick and he still went 12th overall? I don't think people really remember exactly how that all went down. I think there's a world where maybe the NFL is valuing running backs at a higher clip than they have in the past. But at the same token, Ray, like I go back to 2020 when we had Jonathan Taylor and Cam Akers and all these talented running backs. And people said they got to all be first rounders. And none of them were first rounders. It was Clyde Edwards-Helaire who went in the first round. And we're all like, okay, that's kind of crazy. But if you go look at like Hampton's profile versus like JT's profile, JT's a much better running back than Omarion Hampton is. And you could even argue the same with Cam Akers because of his pass catching skill set. Now, they had different success in the NFL. So it's just like, why is Omarion Hampton a locked in top 15, top 20 running back when there's a lot of running backs more talented than him that came into the league that have not been drafted that high? It just seems a little crazy. And if Dallas takes him, I think it's probably a mistake, honestly.
So you believe it would be a bad pick? You are on the camp that if Dallas drafts him at 12,
I don't think there's that much of a difference between Hampton, Hendo, Judkins, and if you want to say Caleb Johnson because you really like him, I'm fine with him as well. I think all of those guys could go in the same range. And why are we pressing one up like what? Pretty much a whole round almost? At least 20 picks? Like that to me is kind of crazy.
I also believe that Ashton Jeanty is what he does and the skill set that I've seen on tape, his ability to, his contact balance is incredible, right? It's not just the fact that he's breaking tackles, it's how he absorbs contact. It's very, very Alvin Kamara-ish, right? The way that he can withstand a hit, keep his balance, and continue to matriculate the ball down the field. It is outstanding. I believe he is better in that department running the ball than Omarion Hampton is. But the problem is, I don't think you have to be this picture-perfect ball of clay at a very replaceable position in the NFL. I mean, they literally go get guys off the couch to come in and tote the rock. If the scheme is conducive for a positive rushing environment, if your offensive line is competent, if you've got so many things factor into what creates the rushing lanes for a running back on any given team. Your quarterback, is it a rushing quarterback? Is there a lot of RPO involved? There's so many different factors that really go into play for RB success, health being a big one. Can you stay on the field? One of the things that Jeanty is concerning, a concerning attribute to his game, is he puts the ball on the ground quite a bit. You can't be fumbling the damn ball all over the place, you know, and it doesn't matter until it starts to matter. It didn't matter for Kyren Williams until every time he touched the ball, it felt like he was fumbling the goddamn ball. Hold on to the ball, Kyren Williams. I do believe that Jeanty is better, but I have Jeanty, I believe I have him graded at a 7.45, and I've got Omarion Hampton at a 7.24. I believe the only two running backs that I graded on tape that were in the sevens. Everybody else, 6'8", 6'5", below. I think those are the top two guys. It's just interesting to see the dialogue around those two running backs in particular, and it does seem like, for better, worse, and different, that Hampton is the RB2 according to most draft people.
Yeah, and that's where it's surprising, right? Like, you know, when we were doing the scouting profiles, we were kind of going through everything. I couldn't help but think, like, how does a team not just watch TreVeyon Henderson and think, man, this guy could be so good. Like, he could be a real game breaker. Yeah. Yeah, well, like, and that's where you come to the conclusion. You're like, well, who could be the Jahmyr Gibbs of the class? And, like, Hendo's probably the best in terms of the profile, right? It's not probably going to be a Hampton. Maybe you look to a Dylan Sampson if he got the draft capital and played very well. He wasn't quite as fast as I hoped he'd be. But, like, it's just interesting how this is kind of going down with the running backs. Like, Hampton has somehow vaulted his way up into a tier of his own because people, you know, some people have him in the Jeanty tier, but he's really not. Like, he's really not in that Jeanty tier. He's kind of in a tier on his own. But in terms of what you're going to get with a pick up in like the top 20s for Hampton, just roll that down to the second round. You're probably getting a guy who's just as talented overall.
Well, there are people who believe he's just as talented. Jordan Schultz came out and said that he had talked to some NFL high-level execs. Let me continue. Let me read the quote in its entirety. I don't want to misquote him. North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton continues to skyrocket up draft boards. One executive I spoke with compared him and Ashton Jeanty to the Bijan Robinson Jahmyr Gibbs class, saying both will go very early. Hampton, who's been lauded for his combination of vision, balance, and toughness, visited Dallas on Friday. multiple NFL teams view him and Jeanty in the same tier. Take that and do with it what you will.
That sounds kind of crazy though, right? Like, Ray, honestly, your analysis, you've watched both guys a lot. How would you rank those 4 players as prospects?
Jeanty 1, Hampton 2, Judkins, and then Henderson.
No. With Bijan and Gibbs, like Bijan, Gibbs, Jeanty, and Hampton.
I mean, I've got the receipts out there. I thought Gibbs was the RB1 for the longest time. Honestly, up until, because if you remember going into 23, it was a foregone conclusion that Bijan was going to go like inside the top 10. Everybody projected top 10 for Bijan, Atlanta being that spot. But it was Gibbs who was like, I don't know if he's going to be in the first round. Do you take that? He's got the talent. And then when the Lions traded up to get him, everybody thought it was a bad move. I don't even think these 2 running backs are on the same planet as Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. I was one of the few people who would be like, Gibbs is RB1. Gibbs is RB1 in 2023 until the draft capital started to play out and it looked like it was going to be Bijan as the only running back in round 1. I don't think that Hampton nor Jeanty are. Jeanty's closer to that range than I don't think Hampton is anywhere.
So that's where I'm at, right? You start talking about like real top 15 running backs that like go in the top 10. There's no world where Hampton fits that at all. Like there just isn't. Like how in 2025 you drafting a running back like Hampton when you look at seasons past and the guys that went that high, like they were great in the NFL as well, but like the skill set that is required to go that high in the NFL draft is one that is very diverse, scheme and independent. Basically, like you can do anything with this player and they're probably going to be really good.
Right.
I just don't see how Hampton fits that mold at all. Like I just don't. Jeanty is like his phenomenal season, almost won the Heisman. Like the hype is there, the talent is there, the touchdowns. But like
even though you continue to call him I just don't understand where this profuse love for Jeanty's game comes from. And you
he's just the best. He's just the
West Brian Robinson.
He's just the best of the best. I said that because I think it's true. Because if you put him in a real conference, then we would know actually how good he is.
So then Hampton,
we don't know how good he is.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about.
But Hampton plays in the ACC. How good is he? What? Okay, so you're telling me that I should be impressed because he ran for 1,500 yards and 1,600 yards? Plenty of guys have done that and not been very good. And we're talking about drafting this guy in the top 20. Like Jonathan Taylor ran for 6,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. He was second.
What would Hampton have done at Boise State? Realistically,
I don't know.
If
maybe 2,000 yards?
If he ran for 15, 16 in the poor podunk conference of the ACC,
then you're Alexander Madison. If you run for 1,500 yards at Boise State, you're Alexander Madison. How did that work out for Alexander Madison?
If he ran for 1,500 in the ACC, what would he have done versus San Jose
2,000.
State?
Probably 2,000.
Probably. So then what are we talking about?
2,000 for a G5 running back. Are we taking that guy in the first round?
Okay. Let's talk about another player. Very controversial player. A player that I think the hate or the disdain for him, and D-Bro, cover your ears, has gone a little too far. But there's a lot of people still love this guy, and the more I watch him, Jay, I'm just like, I think in the right offense, in the right system, he can absolutely be an impact player. I pushed back on him being the wide receiver 1 in this class. I thought that was asinine to even put him in that category based on his usage. But let's talk about Missouri wide receiver Luther Burden. There is a lot of discourse. Burden and Hampton. It's all Burden, it's all Hampton. People are either all the way in on Burden or all the way out off of Burden. Where are you at with him, where he could potentially land and his impact at the next level? Are you a Burden fan or no, Jay?
I like Burden, and I really like him at his cost, honestly. I think Burden's going to be maybe not a steal, but I really like the fact that he's not being propped in the top 25 anymore. Yeah. I think to take him in the top 25, you're saying that he should probably be pretty damn good, maybe even play outside a little bit. But the fact that he's basically like, for people who haven't been really paying attention to the draft props and kind of where he's pegged, he is like far and away behind Emeka Egbuka. It's not even close. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, Tet's locked in first rounder. Matthew Golden seems to be locked in first rounder. The third guy would be Ibuka right now. And then maybe Burden gets in there. But like, we're hearing reports that Jayden Higgins get drafted ahead of Luther Burden. And that to me is like kind of crazy. I like Higgins like as a prospect, but I think he's probably a second or third rounder at best. But the fact that Burden is a player who's going to go in the second, like I think you're probably going to get a pretty good player there. So if you're in like the 40 to 50s, it seems like Burden could be available. I think that would be a really, really good pick because at that point, even if he's like Jayden Reed, you're probably getting a pretty good return on that investment.
Man, the chat is not buying that Burden. Nick Johnson talking about Burden. Burden has the lowest average yards per game over any first-round wide receiver in like the last 7 years. I don't know if that's factual or not, but if it's in the chat, it's got to be true.
These guys got to watch more Brady Cook, man. Brady Cook is fucking awful.
Jack Gray, Burden is so going to be a bust. JRich, Burden is, where's that sounder at? Do I have that one sounder? You know which one I'm talking about?
I don't.
That bust sounder, I'll leave that alone. Oh, boy. Here we go. Joe, Burden is the wide receiver 1 in this class. Now, Joe, you know I love you. That's a little too far. I'm in on Burden. I think that's a little too far, Jay, for Luther Burden. My big thing with him was I know a lot of people try to point to Justin Jefferson and, oh, my God, look how good he was at the next level, and he only played in the slot. But that's not true. And this whole – I think the biggest cop-out today, or I just don't feel that it's true evaluation, is when people say this player's the next Justin Jefferson, right? Like, and thinking about them as the prospect, because Jefferson, the prospect, wasn't even viewed as the top receiver in his class. He wasn't. You go back to 2020, most people had him like wide receiver 3-4. 2020, it was CeeDee Lamb. Say it. I don't care what your favorite analyst says. Jalen Reagor was in everybody's top 3. 18.
Don't forget about Henry Ruggs, right?
Dominator rating, all of that shit. All of that old antiquated stuff we used to use. You had Lamb. You had Reagor.
Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy was the one in that class.
Brandon Ayuk.
So to go and be like he was, yes, revisionist history, no doubt, Jets was the best one of the group. But during the process, there were very few, if not any, people saying that was going to be the top wide receiver from the class. I think Burden is a good player. He's going to have to land on the right team. I do not believe he's going to be competent on the outside. And why try to fit a round peg in a square hole? It's not an indictment to be a player that thrives on the inside. It's not a bad thing to be a slot positional player. It's a very fruitful role with the right team. I do not believe you're going to line him up on the outside and say, go win. So therefore, he's limited to a role. He's got to be on a team that's got space to use that type of player. But if he lands in that system, I think Burden can be really good, Jay.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about Burden is that you're not drafting him to be your team's one necessarily. Like if he goes in the second round, you could be a team that says he can fit our scheme tremendously and we can build around him in our offense and we can make him a big part of the offense. But if you draft him in the first round, like in the top 15, he's probably got to be a pretty big part of the offense to return on that investment. And I think that where it stands now, he'll go to a better team probably, and potentially even be in a better situation with where he's at. So I'm really excited for where he's going to go because I thought he was going to be a back-end first rounder. And if he goes in the second round, like, right, I would love for the Pats to draft him.
Everybody would.
Love it. Right? That was a perfect fit for him to be Josh McDaniels' slot receiver. Like, that would be great. And that's probably the best case scenario for a Luther Burden is to go to a situation where he's drafted still fairly well. It's not the first round, but plenty more opportunity could be at his footsteps, and I really like that for him.
I just like this comment from NC Street News. CeeDee Lamb is the best. Let me get this bigger. Let's make this a little bigger so everybody can see this because I didn't say it. CeeDee Lamb is the best receiver in the league. Go argue with your mama. It's hard for me to disagree with that being down here in Dallas. It's hard for me to I think CD is in line for a monster bounce-back season with Dak under center this year. Luther Burden, very controversial player. I've got one more that I'm going to throw on the screen, JRich, and this is a player that you are not a fan of. Again, Debro, cover your ears here. JRich is not a fan. Steve Smith is. James Palmer says the NFL is. JRich, let's talk about him. Iowa State wide receiver Jayden Higgins. There are some rumblings that this wide receiver, not a Mekik Buka, not Luther Burden, hell, but by the time we get to April 26th, maybe not even Ted McMillan. But this one right here out of Iowa State could sneak into the first round, potentially some team trading up for big Jayden Higgins. There are two wide receivers out of Iowa State that are very good, Jalen Noel and Jayden Higgins. Mr. Richards, we need your analysis on Jayden Higgins, the big-bodied wideout from Iowa State, and your thoughts on him potentially sneaking into the first round of the NFL draft.
I mean, okay. I'm just gonna say it right. I don't see it, man. Like I've never seen it with Jayden Higgins. I didn't see it in Mobile. I don't see it, man. I don't get why this dude is a first rounder. Like, you want to draft in the second round? Not my pick, but Iowa State, not a great history at wide receiver. Let me tell you, we can run down the list if you want. It's not great. The best one, arguably most successful one, and I think that Jayden Higgins would be very happy if he had this career, would be Allen Lazard. Because while he plays outside, my biggest issue with Higgins is I don't think he plays big. Like, I think his counterpart, Jalen Noel, plays bigger than him. So why is it that a dude who's, I don't know how tall Noel is, but I think he's like 5'10 or 5'11.
Right.
He plays bigger than his teammate who is like 6'4. Stood next to Higgins, dude's massive. But if I'm not drafting a big guy to play big, then what am I doing here? I don't know. I don't really see it with Higgins personally. I just don't. I'm curious what people see in Higgins and why they think he's gonna be a great receiver. Kyle Williams, another player. Why would take him over Jayden Higgins?
D-Bro said stop watching that safety tape and turn on some Iowa State tape to watch Jayden Higgins.
Nick said it. I do think Higgins is a big slot. And this is where that Allen Lazard comp comes about, is because Allen Lazard is not an outside wide receiver. He's a big slot and has been his whole career, and he's fucking 6'5". But if Higgins is that, he can still be good in the NFL. It's just, I don't know. Right? What are your thoughts on Jayden Higgins? You know I don't like him. I haven't really liked him.
Joe says he's got a huge catch radius and catches everything. You've got one right here from MDS. Higgins is tet, but actually fast and can jump. And then we've got one right here from Kevin Fitz that said, Matt Harmon's reception perception is not so high on Higgins. I disagree with some of the things on that chart because I've watched a lot of his routes, just not almost every target. The system that I've got some stuff where it's real easy to just watch all the reps, right? It's just you can just click the button and you can see everything. I think Higgins is a good receiver. The problem is this archetype of receiver, we have grown a sour taste in our mouth over these big body guys that we don't think can get down the field.
You love the big body guys.
Like we don't. That's how because you're just like, you got to put him on the outside. But Higgins isn't just a stick him at X, stick him at Z. He can play inside, which was cool about Noel. And Noel, you would think that he's the one that's in the slot and he's playing on the damn outside, right? It's almost like the two are reversed. And I do think there is a role for a big slot receiver. He catches everything. He's got a big catch radius, and he is fast. Do I think that he's an all-pro caliber receiver? No. Do I think he's a Pro Bowl player? No. Do I think he can be a good complement? And while you invoke the name Allen Lazard does not inspire confidence, if he can be better than what that is,
not as bad as
Allen Lazard was usable for that's the thing. Just because somebody may not be as high on that doesn't mean they're not going to be successful at the next level. And right now, the thing that we all have in common, none of us, not one person, from me to you to Dane Brugler to Mel Kiper, we don't know where these guys are going to land. So ultimately, let me just give you this one. New England takes Will Campbell in round 1, and at the top of the second, they draft Jayden Higgins. I bet you would think a lot differently about him at that point, right? I guarantee you would. Because you would.
Ray, what happened on draft day just a year ago? What happened? And you know how mad I was when this happened. Because the Patriots traded out of the pick to get Vlad McConkey because the Chargers wanted him, and they drafted Jalen Polk, who I wasn't the biggest fan of. I was okay with it because I needed a receiver, but I wanted Vlad McConkey. And so if there's a lot of players there available, especially if a player like Burden is there and they take Higgins, I'll be like, look, man, I get you want this big body outside guy, but there's more talented players on the board that could fit the system better. And that's just the truth. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But I will not be happy if they draft Jayden Higgins.
I think he's good.
I've drafted N'Keal Harry, and so I don't want another big body guy who can't play.
Yeah.
Like, just give me a guy who can play a role in the system. Even if people view it as a limited role, like, I think Burden can be fine in a slot role in the NFL. I'm not really concerned about how he's going to translate to the NFL.
All right,
if you ask Higgins to be a 1 in the NFL, like, there's a world where he can fit.
That's what I'm saying. Why are we going? Who's asking him to be a 1 as a rookie? Like, how many?
Well, look at Keon Coleman, right? And someone said in the chat, like, someone said Higgins reminds him of Coleman. Like, there's a real world where if that were to happen,
Coleman had a promising rookie season. It wasn't great, but I don't look.
But he's still a first rounder, right?
Pardon?
No, he's on a bus. He's on a bus yet, but he was still drafted in the first round. Bills went to get him, right? Like, if that kind of happens with Higgins, like James Palmer kind of laid out.
Coleman in the first or the second? I can't remember. Was Coleman
first?
He was in the first.
He was the Bills' first round pick, and that's where people are like, was he really that successful?
Top 5, man. They picked him 30th. 29th,
yeah, but that's where Higgins. This is the same example though. Higgins, someone trades him to the first to draft Higgins. Maybe it's Baltimore, right? Is he going to move the needle in Baltimore?
Oh God,
maybe.
Needle moving conversations from JRich. We got to hit the break.
I'm all about needle movers.
Thumbs up button, like the content, like, and if you are not subscribed to the channel, do that. Help JRich and I out. Subscribe to the channel. We got content dropping all week. Check out the other channel, DDFFB. We are going to play Dark Side Dev's favorite intermission song, so we'll be right back after the break. Enjoy this. This is for you, Dark Side. Appreciate y'all pulling up. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pull up with us as we talk through all things sports, NFL, maybe a little hockey, some women's college basketball when ain't shit else happening in the NFL. Subscribe to the Wake Up with Ray and Jay podcast feed anywhere you get your podcast from. And again, go to DDFFB. We will be streaming all 3 days of the 2025 NFL Draft live right here on the channel, as we've done for the past 3 years. It will be the biggest and the baddest draft stream on the planet, so make sure you pulled up here. And we're going to follow up every night with some sort of mock draft, rookie mock, big board talk, player ranking adjustments on DDFFB. Scott Connor, John Bauer, Mitch Sorensen, the crew, they will all be there. Of course, Shane says. Of course, Shane will be there. But we're going to have a dope party. It's going to be a dope draft party, so make sure you don't have any plans that weekend other than to hang out with us. We're going to have some fun, do some things. Justin Brooks, we got to get with you. I got to get with you and a couple of other people who still have yet to get some stuff from last year, so we'll get that out. JRich, every Thursday, JRich, where we at, baby? Where we at? Every Thursday, JRich.
NFL Daily, baby. You
NFL
and I
Daily.
are on Bleacher Report every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've been going through our rankings. Hopefully they don't give us tight ends, but we'll see. Maybe we'll find it on this show. We'll let you know when we find out. But this Thursday, pull up. Every Thursday, pull up Ray and JRich on Bleacher Report.
On Bleacher Report. And you can find that Bleacher Report playlist right here on the channel as well. All right, Jay, we had a big pro day last week that there's a lot to talk through about this one. Big pro day over in Boulder, Colorado. We had Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, the wide receivers, and Deion. Did you see the clip of Deion Sanders getting on that Broncos scout for trying to teach his boys how to tell them how to run the 40? And Prime said,
Yo, that was something.
Deion said, hey, y'all just met this dude. Do whatever the hell y'all just met him. Don't listen to him. Run your 40 how you want. But all eyes were on the quarterback, number 2, Shedeur Sanders, and the wide receiver cornerback, Travis Hunter. Dan Orlovsky from ESPN, he comped Shedeur Sanders to Tua Tagovailoa, in quotes. Tua is my comp in many ways. Shedeur, great ball placement, rhythm, and timing, super smart. He also said that his rhythm, his accuracy, his deep ball placement, all pro caliber. Multiple execs, Jordan Schultz talked about, they thought he had much better zip on the ball than they expected coming into the pro day. didn't do anything to hurt himself, and displayed elite deep ball accuracy. JRich, I know you saw some clips. There are a lot of, kind of people talking about Sanders, and you can see on the screen some of his throws right here. What are your thoughts about Sanders' pro day, the movement and the odds post pro day? Did he do enough to solidify himself as a first-round pick?
That's the bar.
I don't know. What do you
This
wanna
is
go?
your guy? This is your guy? And all you gave me was, did he cement himself as a first-round
I'm
pick?
trying to let you. Why don't you answer the question? Because I've got plenty to say.
So I will be brief because I know you have a lot of thoughts on this pro day. It was a good pro day. I thought he threw the ball well. Did he improve his draft stock? I wouldn't say so. He did what he was supposed to do. I don't know if the Tua comps will help him necessarily. Why not just comp him to CJ Stroud? CJ Stroud does the same things that Tua does, and he's a lot better in the NFL right now than Tua looks at times. I think the only thing with the Tua comp that's hard is, like, does that mean that if he's not in the right system and the right fit, he's going to be bad? Because that's kind of what we've seen from Tua. When Tua wasn't in the right system with the right personnel, he didn't play overly well. But in terms of his draft stock, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. It seems like there's still a world where he can go in the top 3 or 4. And Ray, I will tell you, I placed a bet for Sanders to go in the top 3 recently. So there is some money on the line for me if he does. But what were your thoughts? He should be a first rounder. The question is a matter of when. I think the top 3 seems unlikely, and it seems like he's slipping down the board a little bit. It's just going to depend on who wants to save him.
I thought it was fine. I mean, the clips are right here on the screen. They said he went he had 4 incompletions during the pro day. 3 of them were drops, clear drops by the receiver. 1 was 1 overthrow, so I guess he missed 1 throw. He's accurate.
That's fun.
You see these in the clips. Like, it doesn't matter where he's throwing the ball, whether it's downfield, in the middle of the field. Very accurate with the football. There were a lot of people after this pro day talking about him patting the ball, and there were multiple NFL people that came out and were like, dude, everybody does this. Like, everybody does it at pro day. This is much to do about nothing. You got to find something to criticize and talk about. I don't think the ball pat stuff was an issue. The pro day it didn't move me anyway. It looked just the same as Cam Ward, same as Jackson Dart. I think those guys are fine quarterbacks. He did what he needed to do. He threw the ball. He had his full complement of weapons: Hunter, Sheppard, Wester, Jimmy Horn out there. Scouts, execs were there, and the feedback that I've seen and read has been positive. Louis Riddick, Dan Orlovsky, everybody that was there that watched him throw said he's very accurate with the football. If you're looking for a quarterback to be the point guard, Tua, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff are common names that I hear associated with him. And this whole disdain for Tua, I think it's kind of Bush League, because didn't he just lead the league in passing yards? When the big knock on Tua is his ability to stay healthy. That's the big knock on Tua. It's not the fact that he's this or that as far as NFL. It's, can his head stay right? Here's the thing from Jordan Schultz right here, talking about NFL scouts, talking about how good he looked. The ball placement was special. The accuracy was on full display following the pro day. So I don't know, Jay. I don't know how this impacts him or not. It looked fine to me.
So do you buy into, because someone did put it in the chat, Evie Diz said that the Saints are the betting favorite at 3. I will say, though, that the Saints didn't attend his pro day. So let's just be honest about that. I think it's interesting where he's going to go, though. Like, the Saints are the favorite, and we kind of talked about it last week when we did the mock draft. I'm like, if there's a team to trade up, it seems like they could be the team to do that. But not attending the pro day, though, like, maybe it doesn't matter, but maybe it does. And then the Titans canceled their workout with Sanders because they're taking Cam Ward. But it's just interesting to see where this whole Sanders thing is at, because you look across the board, you see his over-under at 8.5. You see something. I mean, Caesars has 3.5. So, Debro, if you want to bet him to go top 3, Caesars has it at plus 400. I took that yesterday. But where is he going to go? Like, Ray, where do you think he goes? Because we kind of talked about how there's opportunities for trade-ups and all this stuff, but, like, are we going to play that game? Or are we going to say, okay, if he doesn't go in the top 10, he's probably sliding outside the top 20 or close to it?
Yeah, I'm reading the comments here. Tua, that kind of makes sense. This is from Joe, but Tua doesn't hold the ball and take sacks. Like, at this point, if that's what people are going to continue to talk about, when literally they had one of the worst rushing attacks in college football, He was sacked 93 times. I can't do this anymore. With if you didn't watch Colorado or there was no offensive line. Go look at their running back attempts. They had somebody back there running the ball that looked like you, number 44, Ovendorf, or whatever his name is. Like, come on, man. There was no running attack. This whole narrative, that's all people can do at this point. He holds the ball too long. But there's no offensive line. There's no running game. You're literally going out there and saying, just go throw the ball and go win. I just can't engage in that one anymore. I'm looking through some of the other comments on here. I don't know what I honestly, Dark Side must wake up and smoke the brownest type of dirty weed that you can, because he's got to have a headache. Y'all boys are gonna cry when Shedeur goes top 3. Have you not listened to this show all goddamn season? Who talks about Shedeur in Colorado more than we do? Who has pumped up Shedeur more than me since he played at Jackson State? Dark Side, what are you, or whatever your name is, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're every single week and spewing absolute ridiculousness in the chat. Who is hating on Shedeur? It damn sure ain't me. Is it me, Jay? Am I a Shedeur hater? Have I missed the memo?
Well, I don't think so, but where do you think he goes, though? And where do you want to see him drafted to? We got the Saints, Giants, Browns, Steelers, Jets, Raiders.
If the draft starts, and I will continue to say this, if it starts Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, the Giants would be insane not to shop the number 3 overall pick. If they want to take Sanders, if they're sitting there with Abdul Carter on the board at 3, I bet you multiple teams would like to jump up to that spot to take Abdul Carter. If you're just talking blue chip players, if we say there are 3 blue chip players in the class, Jeanty, Hunter, and Abdul Carter, if those are the 3 guys, even Cam Ward, I don't think people think he's a blue chip. But if those are the 3 blue chips, with Hunter off the board, going to get the off-ball edge rusher would be a premium spot that I believe multiple teams would be like, we'll trade a second and a future first to get that guy. The Giants would be insane to just take Shedeur at 3 with Abdul on the board. Just trade back. I believe they can still get him. But in all of this, Jay, the Cleveland Browns did take out to dinner Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. They went out and dined together. Mr. Vansky and Eric Berry, Andrew Berry. Eric Berry is a very good safety from Tennessee, Kansas City Chiefs legend. But they went out to dinner with the Browns brass. And I do think there's a world, Jay, with the Browns picking at 33. I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to ask Cleveland Browns fans this. As bad as the Deshaun Watson debacle was, could the only thing that could save, I guess, the enthusiasm around what this team could do, not only drafting Hunter, but trading back up and getting Hunter paired up with his quarterback? If they draft Hunter and Sanders, I do think that's a real possibility. If Shedeur's going to quote-unquote slip and the Giants are going to move that 3rd pick, I do think that the Browns can move that 33rd overall pick, jump back up into the teens, and grab Shedeur Sanders. Would that at least make Browns fans feel a little better about the direction of that franchise, absent or withstanding everything that's happened with Deshaun Watson? I do think that's a real possibility that they get both of those guys. They could absolutely get both if they want them.
They could, but Ray, it feels like Cleveland would be a circus, though, all off.
It's already a circus, right?
Like,
it's
so
Cleveland.
I think the funny thing about this, right? So people who missed it, Travis Hunter's odds flipped. Now he's the favorite to go number 2. And, we talked about it before, how there's a world where Cleveland could trade up and all this stuff. But, like, doesn't that seem really risky, too? Like, what if the Giants do trade back and they draft Shedeur somewhere? Because the Browns have to find a way to trade back up people have put in 15 or 17 or 18, 19. There's a lot of spots for teams to trade up in that spot. Maybe Pittsburgh wants to go and draft him and trade up to get him, right? Like, that's a real possibility too. And then if you don't get him, what are you going to do? Trade up for Jackson Dart? Because there's a world where you don't get Jackson Dart because Jackson Dart goes in the 18 to 30 range.
Right. That's a possibility as well.
So you take Hunter. Okay, cool. I like the pick. Great for the team, especially compared to Carter, who does the same thing as Myles Garrett. But then your plan.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Opposed to Carter, who does the same. Was it not you 1 week ago?
Yes.
Matter of fact, there's a short on the channel with why Cleveland should take Abdul Carter. Now he just does the same thing as Miles. You're worse than Adam Schefter, man.
I literally said that he's a good team fit.
Adam Schefter.
I still believe they should draft Abdul Carter at number 2 overall, but it's still a great fit for the team. But if the plan is to trade back
the same thing as Myles Garrett, you just dismissed it.
Yeah, they play on opposite ends. There is 2 spots available. They both rush the passer. Yes, they do the same thing. They rush the passer. But as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, you can go ahead and take Hunter. But if the plan is to trade up for a quarterback, that seems a little dicey in my opinion. Maybe it's Cleveland's bold strategy to win the draft. But like, how do you feel about if that is like their actual plan?
I feel great. I'd feel great.
They have a lot of picks. They have 2/3.
They got a bunch of picks.
It feels risky, man. It feels risky. Like, and then if you don't get them, then what?
I'm just at, what else do they do? And don't
you can just draft. You can just draft Sanders at 2 if you want.
Do not give me they're going to trade for Tyler Shock at the second round.
But isn't this just kind of reiterating what I've been saying about Sanders? That taking him at 2 isn't going to do enough for your team that it justifies the pick. Which is why I think you take Hunter or Carter at 2. Because if they believed, and people believed that Sanders could be good enough, then why wouldn't they just take him at 2? Because you still have to have a quarterback. If you have Kenny Pickett at quarterback, your team is nothing. Like, you have nothing. And we know that.
I guess I'm just so confused because literally less than 8 days ago, I mean, you just, I don't know where you're at, man. You and Schefter are.
I don't know what the Browns are going to do. I don't claim to know what the Browns are going to do. But today it's Hunter. Yesterday,
well, let's talk about
it was
Hunter.
Carter.
Let's talk about Hunter. JRich, let's talk about Hunter. Here's Hunter.
Oh God, crip walking through the routes. What a play! What a play! Do you guys see this on the screen? Bop bop. Whoop, bop, whoop.
He's doing he's in the squabble up video with Kendrick Lamar. Stop.
Yep.
Travis Hunter out here running an absolutely disgusting route. This is look at the agility. Long. Look at the quick twitch ability. Boom, break off the break. I mean, he's housing that, JRich. What are your thoughts on Travis Hunter's route deployment?
What happened? What happened at this dinner? Because nothing happened on the field.
Let me tell you the first thing I noticed. The first thing that first concerned me, yet it also, after seeing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this dude's a dog. No gloves, none. Just
the no gloves thing.
No gloves.
People love that shit.
He's wearing black Air Force One. He doesn't even have cleats on, Jay. He's got black Air Force Ones on, no gloves, another big shirt. Doesn't it look like Hunter just, fuck it, I'm going to just go run a few routes? It doesn't look like he was, shorts, black Air Force One. I mean, this is alpha mentality right here from a generational player. I mean, the route, the attire.
It's also pretty stupid. What if he got hurt? Because he slipped because he's not wearing cleats. I mean, it's an absolute nothing burger. It looks cool. It's a funny clip. We can make fun of him because he's just, moving around, looking fast and agile and like moving his feet real quick, not really getting anywhere. But it's fun, Good for him. It somehow vaulted him up to number 2 overall on the board. So clearly,
Brooks said it was a terrible route. Brooks said that was a terrible route.
No, see, the thing is that Shedeur was going to roll. He's going to play fake to the right. He's going to throw a fake screen to the left.
Scrambling.
No. So what it is, it's actually a fake double screen with Hunter in the slot. So first, he's going to do the play action. He's going to roll back out. Then the fake screen there. Whoop, gotcha. Back to the middle field. Boom, Hunter right there. It's easy. He just needs to have like 5 seconds in the pocket. Money. It's all there. Don't worry about it.
I don't.
He is definitely quicker than fast. Definitely
No,
quicker than
he's
fast.
both quick and fast. What were your thoughts though, man? Hunter didn't do anything. He ran some routes. A lot of the reports were no coaches are coming to see a cornerback. Like they're not coming out there. He didn't do any corner.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, man.
What are corners gonna do? Honestly,
Listen. What have we seen Hunter do throughout this whole pro day, throughout the entire draft process? We see him do one thing: run routes.
Nothing.
Run routes.
Nothing.
That's all he's done.
Not even well.
All he's stop,
running.
dude. Stop. All Travis Hunter's done throughout this draft process is run routes. Do you think? I'm reading between the thinnest of lines here. That when he's announced on draft day as the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 overall pick, he's going to be announced as a wide receiver. Do you think there's something to the fact that we haven't seen him backpedal one time? Not once. I think he's going to play both ways. I've continued to say that. Where's his primary gun? It just every step of the way. And I know a lot of people are just really pulling up this January for the draft. But from the time Travis Hunter flipped his commitment from Florida State to Jackson State, he has been adamant that I'm going to play receiver. I played it at Jackson State. I'm going to play it in the Pac-12. I'm going to play it when we move over to the Big 12. I'm playing wide receiver every step of the way. Do you think, Jay, that there's a chance that's just what that dude plays in the NFL is he's a full-time receiver that plays sparingly on the defensive side of the ball? It's the only thing we've seen him do throughout this process. I'm just dealing in the limited amount of information, which is factual right now, is that's all we've seen him do publicly for scouts, for NFL evaluators, is run routes at his pro day.
I mean, I don't know if I think that has much merit in kind of what he's going to be in the NFL. But I will say, though, like people need to remember that at the Combine, the Browns said they view him as a receiver. So if the Browns draft him, he's probably going to play a decent amount, maybe even like you're saying, more of a full-time receiver, part-time corner. And especially for their team, they have pretty good corners. They have, some decent receivers. But he's probably better utilized on the offensive side of the ball. Now, he still needs a quarterback. But yeah, I think of all the teams that could possibly draft him, Patriots excluded because they're just so awful, the Browns said they view him as a receiver, so he's probably going to play receiver, and he may even play more receiver than corner if he goes to the Browns.
Yeah, Stevie BOE, Gordy TV said he only ran routes to support Shedeur. If you, sure, but he did it, right? He ran the routes. He went out there and he didn't have to do anything. I don't know. He's going to play both ways. I've been pretty 10 toes down that I believe he's going to play both ways. It'd be foolish for a team not to let him do it. Just in following Colorado, following Prime, following Hunter's journey from high school to here, the one position that he has been adamant about that I'm going to do, hell or high water, is play wide receiver. So there is that. Jay, let's finish up with some more news.
Drama.
Rumors. Yeah, drama. That's a great way to put it. Some drama. And look how fast we go from this player being the king of the position to, he's in a committee now, chop liver. Breece Hall, JRich, Breece Hall. This is from Rich, is it Samini? Rich Samini. It sounds like Jets head coach Aaron Glenn wants to shift to an RB committee. Kamini or Samini, however you pronounce his name, quotes, the Jets may be open to trading Breece Hall if Ashton Jeanty is available at 7th overall. Now, we talked about this story last week when it came out that Aaron Glenn wanted to run a 3-back rotation. We kind of joked about it and moved on the show. But apparently there's been some more about this, and the Jets potentially wanting to take Ashton Jeanty at 7, moving on from Breece Hall, which prompted Breece Hall to post a cryptic message on, I believe, Instagram with a cat smoking a cigarette, just kind of reading the news, watching the tea leaves, a monkey smoking a cigarette, something like that. What are your thoughts on the Jets? This shit like this doesn't get out unless somebody wants it to get out. Do you think Breece could be a draft day, and I'm going to use casualty, but trade option for a team? And how would you feel about Breece Hall getting moved to a squad? The Jets drafting, does this make any sense at all to you? Why they would move on from Breece and roll with Ashton Jeanty?
Yeah, so let's start with the comment, right, that he wants a committee. Okay, you had a committee in Detroit, worked pretty well. I'm okay with that. right? Breece Hall, lead of the committee. He's your best running back. Great talent. You got some other options, Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen as well.
Yes.
Then you get the report that, okay, they want a committee. Cool. But they would then trade Breece Hall and draft Ashton Jeanty, which, okay, Ray, maybe you think Jeanty's better than Breece Hall. But is he that much better than Breece Hall that you're like, we're going to trade away a player we have on a cheap deal, draft a new running back at 7th overall, and basically be left with the same thing we had going into the draft? Like, that's where you lose me. Why you want this elite committee that you just came from in Detroit? You could have that if Jeanty was available, and you could have Breece Hall and Jeanty and Justin Fields, and that would probably be really, really good and really tough to stop offensively. But the idea of drafting Jeanty and trading Breece Hall makes absolutely no sense, because then you're just taking a committee that's already fairly strong and kind of just doing the same thing again with a younger running back. But where do you stand on Breece Hall versus Jeanty? And do you think it would even be much of an upgrade worth doing to trade Breece Hall for what? A 5th? Saquon Barkley can't even land a 4th round pick. What are you going to get for Breece Hall realistically anyways?
My initial thought is what Joe said right here in the chat. This was my initial thought. Is Breece cooked, or are they trying to just, like, is he cooked? Is there something that we don't know behind the scenes? And we know Breece suffered ACL injury his rookie season. I believe it was his rookie year. He tore his ACL after a really great start to that season. And he bounced back. I think Breece bounced back in his second year, and then this year the Jets
almost 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Jets were kind of a mess this year. He was a 2nd round pick, so I believe he's entering. This is year 4 for Breece, which would be the final year of his contract, I believe, as a 2nd round pick.
Final year of his deal. Yeah.
I could see him moving. Listen, it's a job, right? It's a business. And Aaron Glenn is the CEO now. He is running the team. Who knows what the hell he thinks about? So it's very ironic that the two best players offensively are both players that have been in trade rumors and speculation, whether founded or unfounded. It's very interesting that both Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall with this new regime are the centers and the source of speculation about them being moved. I think Breece would absolutely be a welcome addition for any team that's needy and ready for a running back. I'm not going to put him in the same category or similar impact as Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, but let's take the Denver Broncos, for example. The Denver Broncos have been frequently mocked either at 20 or at 51, drafting Omarion Hampton, drafting Caleb Johnson or Quinshon Judkins in the 2nd. This was a playoff football team last year that's devoid of a running back. Breece Hall to the Denver Broncos for a 3rd round pick. Would you rather Breece in Denver or Omarion Hampton? You know, what could Sean Payton do with a running back of that caliber? I doubt the Dallas Cowboys would be in the market for a running back, but I do think there's a world in where the Jets, they took 2 running backs last year. I think that is the great edge, the fact that you've got 2 that played decent last year. You can draft. I think every team this year should draft a running back or 2. There are just so many. You should just draft one for cheap. But what would Breece cost? If they have to pay him, what's he going to cost?
Right. But why do you have? Here's a question though: is do you have to pay him?
Just tag him.
Because if you're well, no, you don't. You could tag him if you want, but like honestly, if you are a team, right? And right here's a great question: would you rather draft a 4th round running back or trade for Breece Hall, even if it's just for a year?
It depends on what am I trading him for. It depends on what I have to give up.
No, you're 4th rounder. You're gonna draft whoever, Bashil Tootin or maybe Ollie Gordon or any running back you like, right? The answer is Breece Hall. And even in the 3rd round, the answer might be Breece Hall, depending on who's available.
Breece Hall.
So that's where it's like, even for one season, you're a team that needs a running back. Why aren't you trading for Breece Hall if he's actually available? You 100% should. Because what do you have to lose? And then even if you have to pay him, he has a year to show you that he's worth it, right? So like, to me, it's like, it just makes a ton of sense. You could go and draft a guy in the 4th round if you want, and you have him for those 4 seasons. But like, I think we know that Breece Hall's pretty good. And you talk about Sean Payton, what he would do with a running back that can run and catch passes.
Yeah,
we saw
I know
that for years. And that's like the RB1 Alvin Kamara, like one of the best fantasy running backs we've ever seen, who I believe still has the most touchdowns since being drafted at the running back position. He's got more than literally everybody. And I think we know that Sean Payton can do that. So it's like, I just don't understand. If he's truly available, to your point, maybe the cost will be higher because a lot of people will be after him. But like, if you're planning on drafting a running back, you should 100% trade for Breece Hall. And I don't think the compensation is going to be very high because haven't seen running backs get traded for a lot recently.
Let me give you a couple of teams and tell me, would you rather make the pick or trade for Breece Hall? Denver, 50. Let's go 51. Cost them the 2nd round pick to get Breece Hall.
I wouldn't do that, no.
Okay, so 2nd round is too much. 3rd rounder for Denver.
Yeah.
3rd rounder for Denver.
3rd rounder is probably worth the risk, yeah.
What about Chicago? You think Chicago could be a spot for Breece Hall? We know they continue to talk about a running back. Not 10.
I mean, if Jeanty's gone at 10, right? I think if you're Chicago, you're looking to Carolina's pick. If that's what it costs, right?
That's
kind of crazy.
2nd round pick. A high 2nd
I know.
round.
I wouldn't want to spend
that pick
it, but
and give him a deal. You trade a 2nd round pick. You're not just trading the 2nd. You're trading the 2nd and you're giving him a deal. You're extending him immediately.
I would. You're not trading
a 2nd round pick for a 1-year rental. What about Kansas City? Kansas City's, I believe they pick at the top of the 3rd round. I believe they pick at the top of the 3rd in the draft. I'm almost positive they pick at the top of the 3rd.
Let me see.
I've done it. I'm almost positive they pick at the top of the 3rd. Would you you think that'd be a spot? Pick. Yeah, would that be a spot?
Absolutely. But that's where it's like crazy is why wouldn't Kansas City do that?
Oh.
But why wouldn't KC do that? Maybe they really have a lot of needs.
AFC, is he going to send him?
Yeah, but that's where it's like, the Pats could do it, but they're not trading with them, right? You know who probably should do it is the Bills, right? James doesn't want a deal. Yeah, just go get Breece Hall's so good. Like, just go get him.
Yeah, but they're not gonna send him inside the AFC East though. Not
they wouldn't.
The AFC East.
But if it was available, like even a team like the Rams, why wouldn't the Rams make a move like this? Because they have Kyron Williams, they can't trade for Breece Hall. Like, and right here's another team. If they could, which I don't think they can, they don't have enough picks. But if Cincinnati could trade for Breece
I was looking at Cincinnati.
They don't have enough picks and they have too many needs. And then there's still your favorite, the Commanders. The Commanders. They don't have
a lot of picks though. They don't have a lot of picks.
But they got money to extend him if they wanted to. And they're a great team. And then why not just throw Philly in there? Because Philly could always trade for another.
The Commanders would be disgusting. That would be nasty. Breece and Daniels.
Yeah.
That'd be nasty. Yeah. Do you think he'll get moved? Do you think he gets moved? I believe it's a possibility.
I think it sounds insane.
Too crazy, too premature
to trade Breece and draft Jeanty. I still think Jeanty's going to the Raiders, so that's part of it too. But
yeah, Saquon got traded in the same division. Absolutely.
He wasn't traded. He was signed.
Well, he was signed.
Yeah, he just went to a rival team.
All right. I'm looking at the chat. I think Washington drafts a guy. That's from D-Bro. Yeah. I think Washington drafts a guy. That'd be the smart move. Because here's the thing. If you trade for him, you're going to have to pay him. So do you want to pay $2 million?
I don't really like that notion though. Like, you don't have to pay him. $40 million
for a running back, right? I think the $2 million is probably more cost friendly. All right, Jay, hit the music, man. Hit the music. That's the show.
For him, man. He could help you win a championship.
That's the show. Trade for Breece Hall. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up button. Like the stream. Engage in the comments. Tap into every single thing that we're doing over on DDFFB. Scott, Shane, Mitch, Dan, John, Brandon, Ty, Gabe, and the guys doing fantasy football content over there 24/7 over here on the channel. Y'all know. Wake up with me and JRich every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tap in Thursday to Bleacher Report as we go through who knows what. But we will be on the main Bleacher Report channel every single Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. JRich, anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here? Got a lot of folks in the building today. We appreciate y'all being in the building.
No, thank you to everybody who showed up. We had a great show today. We'll be back on Wednesday talking some more stuff. Hopefully we get some more draft-related news. But until then, just go Sox, baby. Bo Sox are back.
Let's go Rangers. It's all about them Rangers, baby. You see it. Texas Rangers in the building. We appreciate y'all. Start your week off right. Be great today, man. It's a beautiful day outside. Life is good. All the crazy stuff going on, man. We're still here. We are blessed. We are fortunate. Feet touch the ground. You just got to make the most of every opportunity. I'm ready to tackle the day, Jay. I'm ready to tackle the day. We got some news.
No, I was checking the markets.
Oh, you're just being dramatic. You know the markets stink. All right.
No, bro, more chilling. S&P went positive during the show.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Appreciate y'all pulling
again,
up, man. We'll see y'all on Wednesday. Y'all have a great Monday. We out. Peace.
Peace.